Around 2016, a small company going under the name Stress Level Zero released their first game, Hover Junkers. In this game, you play as one of a few characters participating in a battle of sorts, where you build a hover vehicle out of junk and scrap and fight each other in the wastes of a post-apocalyptic Earth. While not a huge success, the game was enough to prove what a VR could do. Somewhat. See, the game was made to prove that multiplayer was indeed viable in VR, and it did a good job of it. When it released, that is. Nowadays it has, 0 players concurrently, so, yeah. The next project SLZ made was a game called Duck Season. In this game, he plays an 11-year-old kid in the year 1988. Your mom has just brought home a copy of the new hit game Duck Season as a rental. Luckily, it's summer, so you can stay up all night playing it. But you quickly realize that this copy in specific is haunted, and now have to go through the game while dealing with this dog creature who's trying to kill you and your mom. This game was a huge, huge hit. If you hadn't heard of SLZ yet, then you have now. This allowed them to gain traction for their next game, which ended up becoming only the second most influential VR game of all time. In 2018, the game Boneworks was revealed as a tech demo. But that's not important. What is when the game launched. December 10th, 2019, Boneworks was released to the public, ushering in a new wave of VR games. With its heavy focus on physics and interactions, Boneworks was a huge success, and quickly became one of the biggest VR games on the market. The game was and still is incredible. Its physics engine allowed for seemingly limitless enjoyment from only the simplest of things. Gone were the days of floating hands and shoddy collision. No. In Boneworks, your entire body is a physics object. You can punch, you can ram, you can stomp, and do so much more. Now, instead of using traditional weapons, you can break off a plank from a crate and bash someone's head in with it with ease. The game was incredible, easily one of the best VR games to come out, ever. But that's not what we're here to talk about. No, we're here to talk about its lesser enjoyed younger brother, BoneLab. Around 2019, SLZ announced the mysterious Project 4, which later turned out to be BoneLab. 2022 marked the date of its release, and when it came out, it got mixed reviews. I need to tell everybody this. This game is genuinely incredible. This game deserves so much more credit than it is given. For starters, you need to understand, a lot of this game's issues came from the fact that it is incredibly difficult to follow up one of the best VR games of all time. As Half-Life 2's Raising the Bar puts it, you have read the reviews, seen the sales figures, heard about the awards, or lack thereof, and best of all, you've played the finished game. We've done none of these. Did we create a worthy successor to Half-Life? Did we live up to gamers' expectations? Did we pull it off? You know, and I don't, and that seems terribly unfair to me right now. As Gabe Newell puts it here, making a game that's industry-changing, in this example the VR industry, is hard to follow up. id did it with Doom, Valve did it with Half-Life, and Bungie did it with Halo. Boneworks was phenomenal, but building on an already almost perfect game would be hard, and ultimately, they couldn't do it. But I'm here to argue this. It wasn't and shouldn't have ever been seen as a sequel to Boneworks, or rather a sort of standalone game which is, in the same canon as Boneworks. No game is perfect, and Boneworks is certainly no exception. It has its issues, obviously, so, I want to get those out of the way first. Issue 1. The game drags out in a lot of areas, specifically Long Run, Monogon Motorway, Mine Dive, and The Pillar. These levels just drag out way past what they need to be, or are just, bad enough to throw off the entire story's pace. The campaign is really, really short, and the environments are just a bit off compared to Boneworks. it's a lot more story-light, focusing way more on gameplay to supplement, which, while leading to obviously more fun and replayable gameplay, also leads to a lackluster campaign. The Null Men just look really odd compared to Boneworks. In Boneworks, they actually look really cool and original, like you'd actually see them in a VR simulation, while in BoneLab, they're just kind of orange with white lines. This is a personal issue. I just think the bloom looks really, really weird in this game. Kind of makes everything look like it's smudgy, and like my lenses are fogging up, which is a bit, I don't like that. The tutorial is a huge, huge step down from Boneworks. It just tells you how to do stuff rather than giving you an entire museum to goof around in to your heart's content. This kind of ties back to the game dragging out and having a lackluster story and all, but the campaign just really isn't fun, like at all. It has its good parts, and those parts are really short for some reason. BoneLab has a lot of issues, and it always will retain these issues. They're basically hard-coded into the game itself. But its main selling point, in my opinion, comes from the modding. Think about a game like Roblox. Why is it still popular after almost 20 years? Well, it's because all of the content is from the people who play it. All you have to do to get access to this stuff is make an account, press just a few buttons, and bam, limitless possibilities. Why do I bring this up? Well, when you start thinking of BoneLab as an engine, or, separate from Boneworks, it becomes a whole lot better. Here's what I want you to do. If you've played the game Boneworks, throw the expectations of it living up to that out of the window, and start playing it as its own thing. Still not having fun, I assume? Yeah, that's because the core campaign sucks. Instead of playing the campaign, make a mod.io account instead, and connect it to BoneLab and start installing mods. They can be anything. Quality of life mods, weapon packs, avatars or NPCs, or just whole maps. Whatever you want is here. Maybe you want Helldivers weapons, or lightsabers, or a gravity gun. Maybe you want to play through the game as a Hulkbuster. Maybe you want to steal from a bank. Or you could do this. You could do this if you want. BoneLab isn't all a downgrade from Boneworks. A good sizable chunk is better. The physics are better. Granted, they weren't on launch. It took like a gajillion patches, but yeah. There is also a new avatar system. And overall, the game is just more excessive. Now, I'm not going to say BoneLab is better than Boneworks, because that's a flat-out lie. BoneLab has a few good upgrades, but yeah, mostly downgrades. Compared to Boneworks, and the game mostly sucks. You remember that avatar system I just mentioned? It is phenomenal. It's the biggest addition to BoneLab aside from mod support. With the avatar system, you can change your avatar, obviously, but this isn't just visual. No, rather it changes your stats as well. If you take the strong avatar, well, you're stronger, I guess. Fast avatar is best for parkour. Heavy avatar is best for defending. Tall is best for, reaching places, I guess. And light. Oh yeah, and short is literally useless. Light is advertised as the best for driving, but is comically bad at it. And like I said, short has literally no benefits. He has the best intelligence, but guess what skill does literally nothing? The intelligence. The avatars are introduced with these mini-games to play in the campaign, which are annoying. I don't want to get into them because they all suck, but there are also other avatars as well. You can play as a Nullbody, Arthur Ford, Skeleton, Peasants, etc., and mods expand that palette even more. I don't have much to say here, so I just want to answer one question a few people on Discord have asked me. How is the game vanilla, unmodded? Well, BoneLab has a lot of strengths, obviously. Its sandbox is its biggest when playing without mods, but other than that, no, the game kind of sucks, other than the sandbox. Sandbox is fun to mess around on. That's about it. Everything else about the game kind of sucks. It's kind of mid. Now, is BoneLab better than Boneworks? No, not by a mile. Which should you get first if you can get both? Boneworks. Easily Boneworks. Which has more replayability? Both are about on par, but you'll probably have more fun in Boneworks, if anything. Does BoneLab deserve the hate it gets? When looked at as a sequel to Boneworks, yes, it really does. But when looked at as more of a Roblox-style engine of a game, no, not at all. In fact, this is one of the better VR games out there, in my opinion. And it's on Oculus instead of just PC, which is nice. Should you buy it at full price? No. No, don't do that. Nope, that's $40 you're wasting there. No, do not do that. When it's on sale, though, yeah, definitely. Not on full price, though. That sucks. BoneLab was never trying to become Boneworks 2.0, and that's why a lot of people fail to see past its flaws. The game was overhyped and was a buggy mess on launch, but in the end, I think BoneLab did exactly what it set out to do. Not to be better than Boneworks or the best VR game, but to be an engine, a launch pad for those games. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Originals?